Episode 624. From beyond the wall came another, again. It had already lost all novelty. Every time, it was the same person speaking, and with each word, the growing impatience and irritation in his voice became harder to miss. This was the third consecutive failure, and the fourth attempt was already in preparation. Chen Guo had already stopped looking at the screen entirely. She was only staring at Yishu's right hand. Yes, that's the tremor. Chen Guo was certain now. Under her careful observation, she noticed that slight tremor with every click. This is definitely a flicking motion.
That's terrifying.
Chen Guo thought to herself that Ye Shu, after tarnishing his image with that scavenging business, had now made himself look like a god again with such insane micromanagement. Chen Guo really didn't know how to face him. She couldn't tell if this god-tier player was just that twisted, or if she was the one who always overthought things. Through careful observation, Shen Guo had fully confirmed Ye Shu's micromanipulation technique. By now, the person speaking from behind the wall was completely furious.
What the hell is everyone doing? Something this simple and you still can't get it done after all these tries?
He could no longer calmly say, "Let's try again." He raised his whip and began to strike. That made 6 misses now, and not a single player had caught on that someone inside the cave was rigging the game. They just noticed that whenever the Wild West courier was delivered to that cave, there was always some bump or scrape. In short, the angle just wasn't precise enough. The battle mage responsible for Falling Flower Palm was, naturally, drenched in sweat. Clearly, the weight of responsibility fell heaviest on him.
Get lost. Yi, you're up.
The speaker had completely lost faith in that battle mage. He called for a replacement. Even as these voices carried over, the sounds of battle never ceased. The Wild West gunslinger wasn't one to sit idle. He scrambled to his feet and kept attacking, forcing the other players to respond. 6 failures. That meant every player overseeing the wind tunnel operation outside dared not let their guard down for even a moment. They carefully adjusted the Desperado's positioning, then jumped clear. Watching the timing, watching the character, the newly swapped-in Battle Mage player dropped low and struck with a falling flower palm. A booming impact followed. It struck the Wild West gunslinger square on. To keep things as easy as possible, they'd already adjusted the distance between him and the dog hole to the absolute minimum. The Wild West bounty hunter shot forward like a cannonball, skimming the ground and kicking up dust as he dove straight for the dog hole. The boss's resistance was too high. Even the falling flower palm, with its brutal knockback, couldn't send it flying far, but shoving it into that dog hole, more than enough. Otherwise, a team with all classes wouldn't have recommended a battle mage for this mission. The falling flower palm's skill sound faded, and the entire crowd fell silent, their eyes locked on the Wild West gunslinger as he flew out, the only sound being the scrape of his body against the ground. The Wild West wanderer's head was already poking into the dog hole when the newly deployed battle mage, He felt a surge of excitement. He was just about to let out a shout when he saw the wanderer's shoulder catch on the edge of the hole, his body lurching and immediately turning back outside. The 7th failure. He had to swallow the words that were almost out of his mouth.
Damn it.
The team's commander was just about at his breaking point.
Can you focus or not?
This guy was shouting, and he couldn't exactly call it an easy task. He'd endured 1 failure, then 2, then 3, but after 7 straight failures, this job was simply impossible to keep doing. The others didn't wait for him to speak again. They immediately launched the 8th attempt. Within the walls, every member of Dark Fragrance and Shadow, except Chen Guo, was already too stunned to speak. Unlike Chen Guo, who could watch Yishu's screen and see his every move firsthand, their shock was rooted in something else entirely. Beyond being shocked by the tricks Yishu had pulled in the dog hole, what stunned them even more was that he had already tampered with the outside 7 times in a row, and they hadn't noticed a single one. What they admired even more was the sheer stealth of Ye Shu's movements. And this time, they only heard his fury, not a demand for a rematch. A few of them snickered, figuring the guy was probably on the verge of a breakdown. But just then, another thunderous crash rang out, the sound of falling flower palm. The group was startled, yet Lord Grimm's movements didn't slow in the slightest. He immediately repeated the same sequence of actions as before. But this time, Lord Grimm didn't attack. Just as everyone was taken aback, Lord Grimm had already rolled to the side, dodging the incoming bullets, and said in the channel,
I messed up myself.
Everyone suddenly understood they were all players of the heavenly domain now. Truth was, everyone knew that trying to stuff a disobedient thing like a boss through that hole was no easy feat, even without anyone causing trouble. It wasn't until Yishu called them out on their misses that everyone realized he'd been keeping track all along, judging their failures with such confidence that he didn't even bother to step in just in case. At the same time, though, everyone realized that the battle mage they'd faced earlier was actually quite skilled. He hadn't made a single mistake in 6 consecutive attempts. This new player they'd called in, he'd already messed up on just his second try. When you think about it, they weren't here for practice. To get it done fast, they naturally put their best man up first. Unfortunately for that guy, he got framed. Yishu messed with him 6 times in a row. So instead of being recognized as a victim of sabotage, he was written off as a useless failure who couldn't land a single hit, and got benched without even a chance to explain himself. 8 attempts, and all failures. The commander's roar echoed from outside. It wasn't that he lacked patience. The problem was he had no time for it. They'd only arrived a hair's breadth ahead of the other guilds. Once those guilds showed up, shoving the wilderness desperado back into the hole was useless. It was the classic case of dreading something and having it happen. Just as he was cursing and preparing for a 9th attempt, someone suddenly called out,
The Herbal Hall and Jia Dynasty have sent people.
Damn it.
The commander was deeply frustrated, but he kept issuing orders all the same.
Everyone hide in the corners. Send one person out in the opposite direction. Let them see us run.
It was a plan that was better than nothing, and clearly, even the ones suggesting it didn't think the boss would be so easily fooled. Everyone was still in the phase of just locating the boss, so splitting up was perfectly viable.
This might be our last chance.
He lowered his voice. At the final moment, he showed no anxiety instead. He hoped his own calm could, at last, lift the morale of these men, so they might truly seize this last chance. All around them, people were cheering them on, and the few players in charge of this segment were genuinely pumped up by it.
I guarantee the mission will be completed.
Over on this side, Yi Shu and the others listened to these solemn declarations.
I don't know why, but I feel so sorry for them.
Even Chen Guo was starting to feel a little soft-hearted.